Hey everyone, welcome to Simply Listen. My name is Naina, and today, I'm not just telling you a story. I'm telling you mine. Put your headphones on. Sit back. And listen carefully. Because what I'm about to share with you, I have never said out loud to anyone before. Not to my closest friend. Not even to my own mother. For 11 years of my life, I did not speak a single word of English out loud. Not one full sentence. Not to a stranger. Not to a friend. Not even alone in my own room. I understood English perfectly. I could read a whole book without stopping. I could write long paragraphs with correct grammar, no mistakes at all. Inside my head, my English was clear and smooth and easy. But the moment I opened my mouth to actually speak it, something inside me closed shut. I called those 11 years my silent years. If you have ever been afraid to speak English out loud even to yourself, even in an empty room, I think you already know exactly what I mean. So stay with me. Because this story might be more yours than you realize. It started in school, when I was 15. My English teacher asked me to stand up and read one paragraph out loud. Just one paragraph, from a simple textbook. I stood up. My hands were cold. My heart was beating too fast. I began to read, and on the third word, I said it wrong. A small mistake. A tiny mispronunciation that nobody, looking back now, would even remember. But some of the boys in the back of the class laughed. Not loudly. Not for long. Just a short laugh, quickly finished, quickly forgotten by them. But not by me. I sat down. My face was hot. My chest felt tight. And somewhere deep inside me, a quiet decision was made, without me even choosing it consciously. I will never speak English out loud again. Not unless I am completely sure it is perfect. I did not know, at 15 years old, that this one small decision would follow me for the next 11 years. In college, I always sat near the back of the classroom. When professors asked questions in English, I knew the answers. I could see the words clearly in my mind. But my hand never went up. My voice never came out. I let other students speak. I let them make their small mistakes out loud, mistakes far bigger than the one I had made at 15. I watched them speak anyway, easily, without fear, and I did not understand how they did it. I thought something was wrong with me specifically. I thought everyone else had been given some gift I did not have. I did not realize, back then, that they simply were not afraid the way I was. I got a job after college. A good job, in an office, working with numbers and reports. I was good at my work. My reports were clear. My writing was correct. My manager praised my work often, in written feedback, in emails. But in meetings, I said almost nothing. When someone asked me a question directly, my throat would tighten. I would answer in the shortest possible words. Yes. No. I will check. I avoided long sentences the way other people avoid touching fire. My colleagues began to see me as quiet, reserved. Some of them, I later learned, thought I simply had nothing much to say. The truth was completely different. I had so much to say. It was all sitting inside me, fully formed, fully correct, waiting behind a locked door I had built myself at 15 years old. There is a particular kind of loneliness in this. I want to describe it carefully, because I think many people carry it without a name for it. It is not the loneliness of having no friends. I had friends. It is not the loneliness of having nothing to contribute. I had ideas, opinions, thoughts worth sharing. It is the loneliness of being present in a room, completely capable, and still invisible. Of watching conversations happen around you, understanding every word, agreeing or disagreeing internally, and never once letting anyone know you were fully there. 11 years of this. 11 years of standing at the edge of my own life, watching it happen, afraid to step fully inside it. My younger cousin Reet changed something in me, without ever meaning to. She was 19. She had just moved to the city for university. Her English was far from perfect, she made mistakes constantly, mixed up tenses, mispronounced words regularly. And she spoke anyway. Loudly. Confidently. Constantly. One evening, we were having dinner together, and she made a small grammar mistake while telling a story, something about I have went instead of I have gone. I noticed it immediately. The old habit in me noticed every mistake, always, silently. But nobody else at the table noticed or cared. They simply listened to her story, laughed at the funny part, asked her what happened next. Her mistake changed nothing. Her story still landed. Her voice still mattered. I sat there quietly, watching this happen, and something shifted in me for the first time in 11 years. I asked her about it later, when we were alone. Reet, I said. Does it bother you? Making mistakes when you speak? She looked at me, confused by the question. What mistakes? She asked. You said I have went earlier. It should be I have gone. She laughed, not unkindly. Oh, that. No, it doesn't bother me at all. I'll get it right eventually. Right now, I just want people to understand my story. I sat with that sentence for a long time after she said it. I just want people to understand my story. Not perfect grammar. Not flawless pronunciation. Just understanding. Just being heard, even imperfectly. I had spent 11 years protecting my English from ever being imperfect in public. And in doing that, I had made sure it was never heard by anyone at all. That night, alone in my room, I tried something I had never done before. I spoke to myself in English, out loud, for the first time since I was 15 years old. My voice shook. It felt strange, hearing my own voice say English words out loud in the empty room. I described my day, simply, the way you would describe it to a friend. Today I went to office. I finished my report early. My manager said good job. Small sentences. Simple words. A few small mistakes I noticed but did not stop for. Nobody was listening. Nobody laughed. The room stayed exactly the same, quiet and unbothered, as my voice slowly filled it. I did this again the next night. And the next. Small moments, just a few minutes each time, speaking simple sentences out loud to an empty room that never once judged me. Weeks passed. My silent room practice slowly grew a little braver. I started recording my own voice on my phone, listening back to it, something that made me deeply uncomfortable the first few times. My voice sounded different than I imagined. My pace was slower than I expected. I noticed real mistakes, small ones, and instead of feeling ashamed, I simply noted them and tried again the next day. Then, one afternoon at work, something small happened that surprised even me. Someone asked a direct question in a meeting, a simple question about a report I had prepared. In the past, I would have said only yes, that is correct and nothing more. That day, without fully deciding to, I answered in 3 full sentences. My voice shook slightly. I made one small grammar mistake halfway through. Nobody laughed. Nobody even seemed to notice the mistake at all. My manager simply nodded and said, "Great, thank you for the clarification," and the meeting moved on to the next topic. The world did not end. Nobody's face changed. The mistake I had feared for 11 years landed in that room and disappeared instantly, exactly the way Reet's mistake had disappeared at that dinner table. I want to be honest with you. This did not fix 11 years of silence in one single meeting. Old fears do not disappear that quickly. There were many days after that when I still said only yes or I will check, when the old fear crept back in and closed my throat again. But something had changed permanently, even if slowly. I now knew, from direct experience, that a mistake spoken out loud did not destroy anything. It simply passed, the way a small cloud passes across the sky, and the conversation continued on the other side of it. I began speaking a little more each week. Not perfectly. Not fearlessly, even now. But consistently. A little more than the week before. A year after that dinner with Reet, my company held a small internal presentation. Each team had to present their work to senior management, out loud, in a large meeting room. My manager asked me to present our department's report. The old 15-year-old fear rose up immediately, strong and familiar. I almost said no. I almost found an excuse, the way I had found excuses for 11 years. Instead, I said yes. I practiced alone in my room for a week, the same way I had practiced small sentences to an empty room a year earlier. I recorded myself. I listened back. I made mistakes and corrected them slowly. Patiently, the way you water a small plant every single day without expecting it to grow overnight. On the day of the presentation, I stood in front of 20 people. My hands were cold, exactly the way they had been at 15 years old, standing in that classroom. But this time, I spoke. I made 2 small mistakes during the 15 minutes I spoke. I noticed both of them as they happened. I did not stop. I did not apologize. I simply kept going, the way Reet had kept going at that dinner table. When I finished, people asked questions. I answered them, in full sentences, my voice growing steadier with each answer. Afterward, my manager came up to me. "Naina," she said, "I did not know you could present like that. Very clear. Very confident." Confident. Nobody had ever used that word about me before, not in 11 years. I still think about my silent years often. I do not regret them exactly. I understand now why 15-year-old me made that choice, in that classroom, after that small laugh. She was trying to protect herself the only way she knew how. But I wish someone had told her something back then. Something I now tell myself, and something I want to tell you, if you are carrying your own silent years right now. A mistake spoken out loud is not a failure. It is simply a small, ordinary part of being understood by another person. Nobody remembers your mistakes the way you remember them. Reet did not remember her grammar mistake 5 minutes after she said it. My colleagues did not remember mine either. The only person keeping score of your mistakes, usually, is you. If you have your own silent years of understanding a language perfectly inside your head, but never letting it out into the world, I want you to know something simple. Your voice does not need to be perfect to be worth hearing. Start small. An empty room. A simple sentence. Nobody listening except you. Then slowly, one sentence at a time, one small mistake at a time, let your voice find its way out of the silence. The years you spend silent will not disappear all at once. But they do not have to become 20 years. They do not have to become your whole life. They can simply become 11 years, or 5 years, or however many years it takes you to stand up one day and speak anyway. Mistakes and all. I'm Naina, and this has been Simply Listen. If this story means something to you, please like this video, share it with someone who has been staying quiet out of fear, and subscribe for more stories like this every week. If today's story reminded you of your own silent years, tell me in the comments below. I would really like to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening today. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next story.